Hello everybody and welcome back to Out of Body. My name is Sabrina and today I am finally back in black. Back feeling better, feeling more like myself. Feel like I can actually talk about some stuff and feel like I'm ready to be back on YouTube. So I'm really glad. I really appreciate everyone who watched my last video and gave me some suggestions and helped me with what I could do to kind of help get through the burnout. I feel like I'm pretty much through it now, which is good. So I want to give a brief update on the out-of-body experiences I've been having since being pregnant, because I know a lot of people have been asking about that. And I feel bad I don't have a lot to say. I do have one interesting experience that I've had, but for the most part, it's not that I'm not able to astral project while being pregnant. It's just it's a little bit harder because I'm more fatigued most of the time now. So a couple times a week I'll usually get the vibrations at some point during the night or in the early morning, and I should be able to just leave my body. Well, I have left my body a couple of times, but since I'm still really consciously tired from being pregnant mostly, I end up snapping right back pretty fast. So there's been a couple times that I have done it. Like I said, really nothing to talk about. I just got out of my body, kind of stood up, looked around, and then I just couldn't hold it. Like I kept trying to go outside or go somewhere or focus on something, and I just couldn't hold it. Now, one interesting experience I had pretty early on, I want to say it was around maybe 9 or 10 weeks. I got the pre-OBE vibrations, like I was about to astral project, and then I was trying to leave my body, and I started to a little bit, but again, I couldn't quite hold it. And now this was in the kind of the morning hours. It was daylight, and I could see daylight coming through my window. So I start to try to leave my body, and I kind of see this light in front of me, like not like in front of the bed or anything, but like kind of all around me and in front of my vision. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like, I guess it was a vision. I'm not sure what else it was, but I got this vision of my unborn baby in the womb. And it was like full color. Like it wasn't, like those ultrasound scans that you get. They're like black and white or whatever, or the 4D ones even are kind of like yellowish looking. Well, what my vision that I saw was like full color, like I was in the womb with my baby, like I was looking at my baby in the womb, and that was really bizarre. And it only lasted a few seconds, and then I just went back in my body, and that was it. So I don't know if it was just a vision, or if I somehow like got out of my body but went back in through the womb. I don't know what happened. If you guys have any insight on that, let me know. But yeah, that was the most interesting experience I have had. That was pretty significant. After that happened, I was like, whoa. Like I said, it was like around 9, maybe 10 weeks, so the baby didn't, it looked like a baby, but it, they haven't developed everything at that point. So like most of the features of the baby were kind of smoothed over, nothing was real defined or anything, which would be accurate for that point in time. Now just last night, I did get really, really strong vibrations in the middle of the night, and I tried so hard to leave my body. And it's funny kind of because I could feel like, as far as my astral body, I could feel like my legs going up and my arms kind of coming out, but nothing else wanted to move, if that makes sense. And I was laying on my back, and so eventually I just tried to physically move, and I moved my leg, and then the vibrations ended, and I moved on my side, because normally that's the easiest way for me to actually get out of my body for an OBE, is when I get the vibrations. If I'm on my side, like my right or my left side, I can just roll out instead of having to like lift out or pull out or something like that. But unfortunately, once I physically moved and then rolled over to my right side, the vibrations didn't come back. So that didn't work out. But it was still a neat experience, because I do remember, though my eyes were closed, whenever you're in sleep paralysis and you have the vibrations, you can kind of see through your astral vision. So my physical eyes were closed, but I could still see the room. And I remember seeing like these twinkling lights in my room, which I don't have in there, anything like that. But I remember seeing that, so that was kind of neat. I don't know what that was, maybe fairies or something? Right before I got the vibrations last night, I actually came right out of a lucid dream. So if you don't know what lucid dreaming is, as far as the difference between that and astral projection, it's basically when you are dreaming like normal, your consciousness is still mostly with your body, but, you know, well, some people say that your soul is still out of your body, which I agree with that, but if you don't, that's okay. Either way, you're not astral projecting at that point because your consciousness is still with your body, but you're dreaming, and at some point you awake consciously, but your body stays asleep, and so you're in this dream and you realize you're dreaming. You realize it's real, but it's not, if that makes sense. You know, you realize you're really in it and you can manipulate everything. So basically at some point you realize that you're in the dream and that you can do whatever you want in this dream, and you kind of gain your consciousness, if that makes sense. So that's happened a couple of times since pregnancy. One of them last night, like I said, right before I woke up with the vibrations. I actually came right out of a lucid dream, and it was a really good dream, actually. I was in this really big mansion kind of house, and I was going inside of it, and apparently it was my house, and I was like so excited, and at some point I realized, oh, this is a dream, like I'm really here, like I'm really doing this, I can do whatever I want. So I was just looking around the house, I was touching things, and it was really fun. But lucid dreaming is very, very fun. And I could see, you know, because I've had that too, I can see why people get it mixed up with astral projection, because when you're in it, it feels the same. It really does. Because it feels very real, but yet you know what's going on. The main difference then is that when you're astral projecting, you're conscious the entire time. You don't just fall asleep and then gain consciousness at some point. You're awake the entire time that it happens, and your consciousness goes with your astral body. So that's the difference mostly. Now, as far as paranormal activity that I've been experiencing, I do have an update on that. Couple of things have happened. One of them was, and it was the same night, couple weeks ago, well, probably more like a month ago, I guess, when I had one of those experiences where I got out of my body for astral projection, I couldn't hold it, and I went back. But it wasn't during that, but it was during that same night that I actually was sleeping in my living room, because it was during my first trimester, and some nights I just couldn't sleep very well in my bed, so I would go into the living room and stay up a little bit and then fall asleep. So while I was in there sleeping, at one point I had woken up, but I still had my eyes closed. I knew I was awake though, like I could hear the sounds of the room, and you know, I knew I was in the living room and I was awake, but I just kept my eyes closed because I was like, I still want to go back to sleep. I laid there for a minute and I heard what sounded like footsteps kind of shuffling, I guess. It wasn't like kind of footsteps, it's more like, I don't know if you can hear that, but it was more like, you know, somebody kind of dragging their feet, I guess, across the ground. It didn't sound scary, but it was just sounding like somebody was just walking from my kitchen, which would be right in front of me where I was in the living room, all the way to the other side of the living room, on the other side of our couch. Now in our living room we have a sectional, so I was on the far right side, right corner of the sectional, and then it goes kind of like this, you know, an L shape. And so the kitchen's over here in front of me, and I'm right here, and I hear somebody kind of drag their feet walking from the kitchen all the way over here to this side of the sectional. Now at that point I just assumed it was my husband, because I mean, it sort of sounded like the way he walks, you know, if he's just walking on the carpet. And I just assumed it was him. I was like, oh, he must have not been able to sleep either, and maybe it's morning and he came in there and just wanted to sit on the couch. And so I assumed it was him. I didn't open my eyes, I just went back to sleep. Now at some point later on, I wake up again and I do the same thing. I just keep my eyes closed because I'm like, oh, and I'm awake, but I want to still sleep longer, I'm tired. So I just lay there for a minute and I hear the same thing. This time it sounded like it came from the dining room, which is, I live in an apartment, so everything's like right in the same area. But again, I'm on the couches like this, I'm on this side of the couch. Kitchen's right here, dining room's like right next to me. So it sounded like somebody came like from almost right next to me and was walking across to the other side again and went and sat on the couch. Like it literally sounded like someone sat down too. So again, I thought, okay, maybe it's my husband. Maybe he got up and took a shower and came back, or got something to eat, came back. Didn't think anything of it. I kept my eyes closed, went back to sleep. Now, what's interesting is that later on that morning, I woke up and got up and I looked over at the couch expecting to see him there because he sits there a lot. I mean, if he sits there, he's probably going to stay there a while because he likes to play games or watch YouTube or whatever. And so I looked over there. Nobody was there. Not only was nobody there, he had not been in there. He was still in our bedroom asleep. So that was a little bit eerie. Again, I mean, I'm sensitive to spirits, so I didn't feel anything negative. It just, you know, I thought it was my husband, so it felt positive. It just felt like someone was just hanging out, you know. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it was the kitchen ghost that I mentioned in my last video that I have. There's definitely a spirit that kind of hangs around our kitchen. She feels kind of female though, so I'm not really sure. This other spirit, like I said, I thought it was my husband, so I don't know if that was a male spirit or if I didn't even really identify that at that point. Yeah, but that was pretty bizarre because it's pretty rare that I hear something that sounds like a real person walking or talking or something, and I'm convinced that it's a real person, because a lot of times I will think like, oh, that might be paranormal, but I didn't even that didn't even cross my mind in that moment. And then I wake up and see that no one has sat on that end of the couch the entire night, and my husband's still sleeping in the other room. So it wasn't him. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Now the last thing I'll talk about as far as my own experiences recently concerning that kitchen ghost I mentioned earlier. She does feel female to me. She's very calm, very relaxed, very peaceful. I feel like she does want to move on at some point, but she likes it here. She likes just kind of hanging out here, I guess. But something interesting happened with her. It was a dream I had at one point. I think it was about a week ago. And I dreamed that there was something negative in my room, like a negative entity trying to get to me. I don't normally have dreams like that, but this is probably the second one like this I've had recently where something negative is trying to get to me. And then before I really had a chance to, you know, do something about it or tell it to go away or whatever, I see this woman come from the hallway, which is towards the kitchen. So she's coming from that direction into our bedroom. And I'll describe really quick what she looked like, because she looked very similar to the way I would imagine that the kitchen ghost looks like. I don't know, she just seems kind of the motherly type, and possibly from like years ago. So anyway, this woman comes in and she's got kind of shoulder length-ish, wavy, curly-ish hair. She looks, as far as her attire too, she's wearing a dress, kind of a A-line, I guess, and a skirt. I mean, she looked a lot like someone straight out of the 50s, maybe 40s, but 40s or 50s era. That's what she looked like. And I was like, who is this woman, you know? And then it clicked when I was in the dream, like, oh, that's the kitchen ghost. That's the lady from the kitchen. And then I see her come in, and she has kind of a light about her too, and kind of a glow around her. And then this negative entity is still like right in front of me, like trying to get to me. And she comes in there, and it's kind of vague what happens, but somehow she gets rid of him. I don't know if she like says something to him. From what I remember, she kind of reached out to him. I say him, but whatever the negative entity was, she reached out to him or something and did something, and then he went away. I don't know what she did. But yeah, I wanted to save that story for last because it's kind of heartwarming, kind of sweet. It's like I have someone looking out for me. I've kind of felt that way anyway because I'm pregnant, and I feel like, you know, maybe she came around because of that, because I didn't really sense any spirit in the kitchen before that, before I got pregnant. She may have been around, but it seems like since I've been pregnant, she's been making herself known, and like almost like she checks up on me or something. Like I feel her around me when I'm like not feeling good, or when I get up in the morning and I'm, you know, trying to keep from being nauseous or something. You know, I can kind of feel her around, so it's almost like she's trying to take care of me or something. So yeah, once she gets rid of the negative spirit, I just see her standing there, and then I wake up. And when I wake up, everything in the room just feels really peaceful. Really, really good, really peaceful. Like, there's just positive energy in there, and everything's fine. And so at that point, I just go to sleep. I'm like, oh wow, that was nice. And I go to sleep, and when I wake up later for the day, I'm like, wait a minute, did I just dream about the kitchen ghost? So yeah, what do you guys think about that last story? That's kind of, I don't know, it was just really, really heartwarming, and I feel like it was the spirit that lingers here. What do you guys think? Do you think it was just a dream? Do you think I imagined it? Do you think it was someone else, you know, maybe a relative or someone else that was protecting me, or a spirit guide or something? Or do you think it was the lady in the kitchen? I don't know. We'll see. At some point I will try to actually communicate with her and do it on camera if, you know, she's okay with that. But, you know, like I said in my last video, I'm kind of trying to not do that for the time being, since I'm pregnant, because I just want to take care of things, you know, take care of the baby the way I need to take care of myself, and put that first, and kind of stay away from as far as like the medium type stuff, you know, speaking to spirits. I kind of want to lay that to the side for now until I have the baby. We'll see. But anyway, that is all I have today. That's pretty much the update on everything crazy that's been going on with me as far as out-of-body experiences and paranormal. I still have some astral projection experiences from a long time ago, like last year, before I was pregnant, that I still haven't told you guys about. So my next couple of videos, I might do that. I might talk about those because they're still really, really cool experiences. I realize I haven't told you yet, so I'll probably do that here in the next couple of weeks. But I appreciate you guys watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.